It was a typical morning on the 9th of August at Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College in India, where students and doctors alike were gearing up for another day of learning and healing. But what was supposed to be just another routine day took a dark and horrifying turn when junior colleagues made a chilling discovery in the seminar hall. There they found the semi-naked body of a 31-year-old woman, a colleague, lying motionless. The sight was enough to send shockwaves throughout the institution. This wasn't just any woman. She was a fellow doctor, someone who had dedicated her life to caring for others. The very place where she worked, a space that was supposed to be safe and secure, had become the scene of a tragedy. The incident has since sparked a wave of controversy and concern as authorities, colleagues, and the public seek to uncover the truth behind this shocking event. The case of the Kolkata doctor's sexual assault and murder is not just a story of crime. It's a reflection of the broader issues of safety, justice, and the trust we place in our institutions. Let's explore the details and the ongoing debates surrounding this tragic case. On the morning of August 9th, a routine day at RG Kar Medical College took a dark turn when a doctor stumbled upon a shocking sight. The body of a young trainee doctor lying on a bed in the seminar room. This discovery quickly set off alarm bells, and the police were called in. As investigators began their work, they found the woman's belongings, a laptop, bag, mobile phone, and a Bluetooth earphone lying beside her. Forensic experts arrived around 11:30 a.m. to start piecing together the evidence, and it quickly became clear this was no ordinary case. Things got even more tense when a doctor insisted that the autopsy only proceed with a magistrate, trainees, and the victim's family present, and that it be recorded. Meanwhile, the victim's family was living through their own nightmare. At 10:53 a.m., they received a call from the hospital, first telling them their daughter was unwell. And just 22 minutes later, the devastating news came. The hospital said that she had taken her own life. The college principal, Dr. Sandip Ghosh, quickly labeled it as a self-inflicted death, suggesting it was reckless for her to be alone in the seminar hall at night. But when the grieving parents arrived at the hospital, for some reason, they were made to wait 3 agonizing hours before being allowed to see their daughter. When the father was finally let in, what he saw was chilling. His daughter's body was covered in at least 11 distinct injury marks on her leg, neck, hand, finger, and lips. These injuries didn't match up with a simple explanation of a self-inflicted death. A junior doctor who was close to the victim and affectionately called her Dee Dee revealed that there had been an attempt to frame her death as being self-inflicted. But the evidence told a different story, leaving everyone to wonder, was something far more sinister at play? Her body was found in a deeply disturbing position, head facing east, legs unnaturally splayed to the west, with her limbs bent at a 90-degree angle on either side of a blood-soaked blue mattress. She was half naked, with her jeans and brown panties discarded beside her. A hair clip was found alarmingly close to her private parts, and a broken pair of spectacles had pierced her eyes, causing blood to seep out. The scene was one of unimaginable brutality. Overwhelmed by grief, her father took a photo of her body, convinced that his daughter had been savagely assaulted and murdered. The autopsy report confirmed the worst fears. The young doctor had been sexually assaulted and brutally murdered. She suffered severe injuries, including wounds in her private areas that showed extreme cruelty. Her head had been smashed against a wall, causing further injuries and embedding glass shards from her broken glasses into her eyes. The attacker also pressed down on her mouth, leaving scratches on her face and ultimately smothering her to death. The report indicated that the violent assault occurred between 3 and 6 a.m. Keep in mind that there are varying reports regarding the extent of her injury, with some suggesting the victim's collarbone and pelvic bones were fractured, proving brutality that suggests the role of multiple attackers. But an additional commissioner of police said the postmortem report showed no fractures and the cause of death was strangulation. Initially classified as an unnatural death, the case was reclassified as essay and murder after an autopsy on August 9th. Police said the forensic examination of the body and the samples collected from the body showed signs of torture. As politicians and officials began visiting to offer their condolences, the father made a heartfelt plea for justice and accountability for the horrific crime that had claimed his daughter's life. Let's piece together the timeline leading up to her death. On the night of the incident, the hospital was quiet as midnight passed. Earlier that evening, around 10:30 p.m., the doctor received a call from her boyfriend, but they didn't talk long because she was busy with patients. She later spoke to her mother at 11:30 p.m., a routine call before dinner. After ordering food online, she and 4 colleagues gathered in the seminar room to eat and watch the Olympics javelin finals at 2:30 a.m., celebrating Neeraj Chopra's victory. The others left around 1:30 a.m., leaving her alone. The seminar hall, a large room often used by women doctors to rest during night shifts, had one entry door without a bolt. The doctor chose a bed behind a pillar on the northern side for privacy, wrapped herself in a red blanket, and lay down on the blue carpet to sleep. At 3 a.m., she was briefly woken by an intern needing a report checked. Drowsy, she told the intern to show it to someone else and went back to sleep. But unfortunately, someone with dark intentions was lurking around, and later in the morning, her body was discovered. Before the investigation gained momentum, the hospital faced intense scrutiny due to its suspicious actions following the doctor's death. Initially, hospital staff told her parents that her death was self-inflicted, even though it was clear she had been attacked. The hospital then quickly set up an investigation committee made up of interns and psychiatrists, leading many to believe they were trying to suggest that she was depressed, possibly to deflect from the real cause of her death. This raised serious concerns, and people began to suspect the hospital's principal, given his controversial background. Dr. Ghosh, the principal of RG Medical College, is a figure who cast a long shadow over the institution. He was known for his close ties to the ruling party and his reputation for ruling the institution through fear and intimidation. Allegations against him include taking bribes from hospital projects, supplying alcohol to students, and engaging in shady deals involving unclaimed bodies. Despite being transferred twice, Ghosh managed to return to power, supported by loyal students aligned with the ruling party. Following public outrage over the controversies surrounding his reputation, Ghosh eventually resigned. However, instead of accepting his resignation, the government quietly transferred him to the Kolkata National Medical College, leaving many frustrated by the lack of accountability. Despite all these serious allegations, Ghosh remained untouched by the law, shielded in his new role. His controversial reputation further raised suspicions about a potential cover-up following the tragic death of the doctor at the institution. The investigation picked up speed quickly. The police started questioning people and reviewing CCTV footage, but there was a noticeable gap: no footage from the actual crime scene. Authorities claimed the cameras in the pulmonology department and seminar hall weren't working that day. So the police had to rely on footage from other parts of the building. Upon reviewing the CCTV footage again, they noticed a man in shorts and a sleeveless t-shirt was seen casually walking down the third-floor corridor toward the seminar room around 4 a.m. He was seen with earplugs while entering the seminar room. 40 minutes later, the same man was seen leaving, but the earplugs were missing when he came out. The police remembered that a Bluetooth earphone had been found next to the victim's body. So, could it be his? Had he accidentally left it behind? The man, Sanjay Roy, quickly became a suspect, and his background, which was later revealed, explained how he got access to the hospital without being blocked by guards. He was a civic volunteer who worked with the disaster management group from 2019 and later, through connections, transferred to the Kolkata Police Welfare Cell before moving to the police outpost at RG Kar Hospital, granting him access to all departments within the facility. When questioned, Sanjay claimed he was there to visit a patient he knew, but he couldn't identify this patient. His story started to fall apart when he mentioned losing his earphones. The police quickly turned on the Bluetooth option on his cell phone, and it paired with the torn earphone left in the seminar room, confirming it was his. This connection was the final piece that sealed his fate. Investigation revealed that he was heavily drunk at the time he was strolling around the hospital. During questioning, Sanjay Roy detailed his movements on the night of the crime, admitting to visiting 2 red light areas in the city, heavily drunk, but not having sex. He also confessed to molesting a woman in the street, an act that was captured on CCTV cameras. Additionally, Roy revealed that he had a video call with his girlfriend and asked her for nude photos. After midnight, Roy and his friend returned to the hospital. Initially, he confessed that around 4 a.m., he entered the seminar hall where the victim was sleeping and strangled her. He sexually assaulted the victim, then left the scene and went to the house of his friend, Anupam Dutta, a Kolkata police officer. However, he later took back his confessions, claiming he was being framed and that he was innocent. Local media uncovered alarming details about Sanjay Roy, who had a disturbing history of sexual attraction to corpses, torture, and extortion, yet managed to become a civic volunteer with Kolkata police. Rumors circulated among hospital staff that Roy had close ties to the hospital principal, giving him unusual access and control within the facility. Reports suggested that Roy operated a hospital racket, charging families for quick admissions and even more when hospital beds were full to secure spots at nearby nursing homes. These revelations have raised critical concerns about whether Roy was ever properly vetted before being granted such extensive access. Sanjay Roy, a man with a disturbing history of violence against women, was portrayed as a habitual offender. Media reports highlighted his addiction to pornographic content, abusive behavior across 4 failed marriages, and a pattern of returning home drunk. His ex-mother-in-law accused him of hiding previous marriages to marry her daughter, whom he allegedly tortured. Despite multiple complaints, including a 2022 accusation of domestic violence from his pregnant wife, the police only logged the incident as a general diary entry, avoiding serious action. Some people believe that if the police had acted on the earlier complaints, the young doctor, who later became his victim, might still be alive today. Even after Sanjay Roy was arrested, doubts and suspicions continued to grow around how the investigation was being handled. Instead of moving towards a clear resolution, rumors started to spread online about potential police negligence or even a cover-up. One of the biggest red flags was the delay in the police response. The crime scene wasn't secured until 18 hours after the incident, at around 7 p.m. on August 9th, long after the post-mortem was conducted. In any investigation, securing the crime scene quickly is crucial to preserving evidence, and this delay was highly unusual and suspicious. The first information report, the FIR, which officially starts a police investigation, wasn't filed until 11:45 p.m., after the victim had already been cremated. Normally, an FIR is filed immediately after a crime is reported, so this delay raised serious questions about whether the police were trying to downplay the severity of the crime or manipulate the investigation. The victim's parents were initially given different explanations about their daughter's death. First, they were told it was a self-inflicted death, then that it was an accidental death. It wasn't until the victim's friends, who were also doctors, insisted on recording the crime scene that suspicions arose. These inconsistencies made it seem like there was an effort to mislead the family and potentially cover up what really happened. Pressure from protests that the police was not handling the case properly led the Kolkata High Court to disqualify the Kolkata police from the case and to transfer the case from the Kolkata police to the CBI on August 13th. When the Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI, took over the investigation, they discovered that the crime scene had been altered. There were also rumors that Sanjay Roy might not have acted alone. An audio clip circulated where an intern suggested that another intern with political connections could have been involved, and there were WhatsApp messages discussing a possible larger conspiracy. Some reports even claimed that 151 milligrams of semen was found in the victim's body, suggesting multiple attackers. However, this claim was later debunked by the court, but it didn't stop the speculation. Also, the hospital suspiciously started renovating the building after the crime. Was the renovation work a coincidence? Some suggested that influential figures might be involved in the crime, and that this renovation was an effort to protect them. All these factors, delays, inconsistencies, and rumors led to a deep mistrust in the investigation. Many people, including the victim's colleagues and the general public, started to believe that those responsible might never be held accountable. The case became a symbol of broader issues with how such crimes are handled and whether the system is capable of delivering justice. The CBI investigation is ongoing. They are now closely examining the hospital president Ghosh's call logs and messages. On August 18th, he was called in for questioning for the third day in a row, spending over 13 hours at the Salt Lake office. Investigators pressed him about the phone calls he made before and after the incident, specifically asking about his actions upon learning of the doctor's death. So far, the CBI has questioned 20 people, including Kolkata police officers. After the intense interrogation, Ghosh left the CBI office without speaking to the media. The case sparked nationwide outrage, with resident doctors demanding justice for the victim and a safe working environment for medical professionals at hospitals. The murder had shattered the trust of many healthcare professionals. They feared this would not be the last incident unless serious changes were made. Meanwhile, the Federation of Resident Doctors Association met with Union Health Minister J.P. Nadda, who agreed to work on the Central Protection Act to safeguard medical personnel. Doctors remained determined to continue their fight until this central law was in place. Women across the country held peaceful vigils, starting at RG Medical College in Kolkata to protest the atrocities faced by the murder trainee doctor. Dubbed Reclaim the Night, similar protests were held in cities like Delhi and Hyderabad. However, the situation took a dark turn when later that night, vandals broke into RG Medical College and vandalized the emergency room. These intruders attacked doctors, vandalized hospital property, and clashed with police, turning the scene into a battleground. Following this, on August 17th, doctors across the country withdrew services, affecting routine outpatient departments and elective surgeries for 24 hours, although essential services were maintained. They took to the streets, demanding justice for their colleague. The protests weren't just about this one case. They were a call for a safer environment where women could work and live without fear. Among the protesters was a 4-year-old girl named Ushashi, brought by her mother to teach her the importance of fighting for justice. Protesters were angry, not just at the violence, but at the ongoing reality that, despite all the promises and reforms, so little had changed. Because of the controversies surrounding the Kolkata doctor murder case, the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance of the case, meaning the court decided to intervene on its own, likely due to concerns about the way the investigation was being handled, delays, and potential cover-ups. On August 20th, the Supreme Court accused Sandeep Ghosh, the principal of the hospital, of trying to cover up the assault and murder of the young doctor by making it look like a self-inflicted death. During the hearing, Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud raised serious concerns about the hospital's unusual response and potential police incompetence. He questioned why the grieving parents were denied access to their daughter's body, and why there was such a long delay in reporting the crime and securing the crime scene. By August 22nd, the Supreme Court urged the protesting doctors to return to work, assuring them that their safety was being taken seriously. The court instructed the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to implement better safety measures for medical staff and emphasized that no action should be taken against the doctors who had been protesting. Sanjay Roy, the civic volunteer who is the primary suspect, is now in custody, but there are still many uncertainties. We don't know for sure if he acted alone or if others were involved. If no one inside the hospital was involved, how did the suspect know the victim was alone? And how did no one hear her scream, despite other interns being on duty that night? Adding to the tragedy, the victim's case was grotesquely exploited online. The horrific incident was turned into a spectacle, with fake videos and rumors circulating on social media and even adult entertainment sites. Terms like Kolkata essay video and the victim's name were used to attract attention, leading to fake content being spread widely. Telegram channels and social media platforms unintentionally amplified this exploitation, while a Facebook video by a content creator from Bangladesh directed users to a site selling adult content, falsely labeled as the victim's footage. Such actions are just extremely inappropriate and should not be tolerated. SA cases in India often go unreported, with public outrage only surfacing when the brutality of a case is too severe to ignore. The 2012 Nirbhaya case sparked nationwide protests, but over time, that intensity has faded. Similar waves of anger were seen after the 2019 Hyderabad assault and murder and the 2020 Hathras case. Now in 2024, Kolkata has become the latest focal point in this tragic cycle. Amid a growing population, the rate of reported SA cases has increased even more, reflecting a society that continues to fail its most vulnerable members. A key issue is the lack of fear among perpetrators, who believe they can commit heinous crimes and escape punishment due to inconsistent law enforcement and weak judicial processes. The case of the murdered doctor in Kolkata highlights these ongoing failures. Her story is not just about one woman, but reflects how little has changed. She was the only child of a small garment trader, and her death is a devastating loss for her family and a reminder of the urgent need for change. How many more lives must be shattered before justice is achieved? The answer, sadly, remains elusive. Our deepest condolences go out to the victim and her family, and we hope her story inspires the change that is so desperately needed. That is all for today. Thanks for watching.